YouTube live שלי עובד? I don't know. בוקר טוב, בוקר טוב. I don't know if it's working. Yesterday I don't think it works. How do I know if this YouTube's working? Hope so. You have to wait to see the YouTube?
Usually it will pop up. Let me see.
בוקר טוב. Okay, let's go.
Usually it will show me if you're live.
Yeah, am I not live?
You
No?
are live, yeah.
Okay. Let's go, everybody. We're learning about how to get out of Mitzrayim. We are doing the Maimer on page 114. Huh? Okay. So, one Nun Zayin, we're just going to go back to the beginning and see what we talk about. לכן אמור לבני ישראל אני השם והוצאתי אתכם. Go tell Bnei Yisrael, I am God, and then you're no longer in Mitzrayim. So the simple meaning is, go tell Bnei Yisrael, I'm God, and I'm going to take you out of Mitzrayim. He's going to say, no. Go tell Bnei Yisrael that if you get that I am Hashem, you're not in Mitzrayim. Much more powerful. So why is Mitzrayim so important? Very simple, because Mitzrayim, on all levels, both Klippa and Kedusha, which means Mitzrayim is what locks you up in a perspective. And that gets you stuck. And because you're stuck, can't see Hashem. And because you don't see Hashem, you get stressed and more stuck. And when you get Yismach Yisrael Be'osav, to be rejoicing in Hashem, who's being created every single moment, who's creating things every moment, then you get out of Mitzrayim. Because every level is divine. He goes to this at extensive length. Today's Tanya, just finished it, is all about this fact that, Hashem creates the world every single second. And so Hashem's telling you a very simple thing. Every single mitzvah cuts you off, Avera cuts you off from Hashem, and mitzvah connects you to Hashem. And the reason why you do Avera is because you don't focus on that. You don't get that every Avera is cutting you off from Hashem. Because you don't get it, that's why you do Averas. So the work is to actually discover that that's Hashem every moment. And Al Derech Sam Tovia, every single thing that's connecting you to Hashem is godly. So when you do a mitzvah, you say, Asher Kiddushan Mitzvotav. I'm excited that I get to do a mitzvah and become holy in my connection to Hashem. Everything else is vanity. Because one scan, Hashem created the entire world. Everything else, every single thing is in the world, boom, one scan, done. The only emes, the only thing that's viable and worthwhile of anything is your ability to do Torah and mitzvahs. That's what he's saying. Now, the problem is that Hashem, and this is what's interesting about it, Hashem needs you to rejoice in the space. So Hashem wants a Jew, every Jew, gets excited about the realization of Hashem in this space. Right? But you get excited by it. Oh my gosh, I saw today a letter. I tell you, this letter is unbelievable. Unbelievable. The letter says as follows. You know what? Let me see if I can post it right now over here so you can read this letter. It's just absolutely wondrous. So, yeah. The letter says, look at this. Yeah, I posted it there. It says, Hashem, at the beginning of creation, Hashem said the land was chaos. So what that means is every single person, right? Every single person at the beginning of doing something, anything good, the world looks chaotic and everything's messed up. And how does Hashem create the world? What he does is, at the beginning of creation, the first thing he does is, he says, Vayomer Elokim, Yehi Or, Vayehi Or. Which means that Hashem Yisborach does is he makes it in the place of darkness, it suddenly becomes light, and then from that comes a whole world. Sameach, Zamem, Sameach, Chaim, Medaber, everything comes from there. So he says every single Jew needs to get the realization at the beginning of Avodah, when you want something good to happen, you're going to see darkness in the world. And your mission is, this is the Avodah, in the place of darkness, to get ready and to make it a firm resolution that there's going to be light over here. It has to be created. In other words, you find yourself in an impossible position, your kid's going off, you want to do something amazing, whatever, and you don't know how to do it. Everything's choshech. What's the avodah? Make a firm resolution. Yehi or. Vayomer Elokim yehi or. You first have to decide it's going to be light. Yehi or. And then the whole world's going to be created. You'll see Hashem is going to make everything for you. That's the word over here. The joy has to be a total joy while you're in the middle of the chaos. And boom, you'll see amazing things happening. Verstehst?
I have a question, real quick. I'm just trying to reconcile. How does that fit in with Zehayom Asa Hashem Nagila V'Nisbechavai? What is Zehayom? Is that today or is that when Mashiach comes?
Oh, now, even now, Zehayom, when you start seeing Hashem in this moment. That's what he's saying. The whole thing he's talking about is that the world is dark, the world is chaotic, and you need a Jew to step forward. See, this is the key. Hashem is making everything. He doesn't need you, but he wants you.
Wanting.
And
yes.
What does he want from you? He
just
wants
to be happy.
Huh?
Just to be happy. You're natural, like you said, the natural state of the neshama.
Today's Tanya is he wants Torah mitzvahs. Yeah, he wants mitzvahs and anything you do for Hashem and not to rebel against him. He wants all that. Yes,
obviously.
But in this Ma'amar, he's talking about what does Hashem want? He wants your state of joy. Now,
Tanya tells us that Tachlis Briyase is 100 things, and we have to accept them all. It's all Tachlis, but you're saying the essence.
One thing. Now, Rizal says there's no mitzvah that's going to do more for you than the mitzvah of simcha. He said there's no mitzvah to simcha.
Right.
But no mitzvah
simcha b'tuv leva. But without it, we could do everything. But if we don't have simcha, it doesn't help. It's the opposite, right?
Correct. So why are we focusing so much on simcha? Because what's the opposite of simcha? Mitzrayim.
It's a heart.
Mitzrayim.
Klippa.
The opposite of simcha is to be stuck. So if you're not joyous, you're stuck. That's why everything we're talking about is focused on the good. Why the good? Because then you get out of Mitzrayim. The whole principle in Yiddishkeit is that everything's about constraint, and you got to walk in. This letter is the one I understand now. I think it's a masterpiece. You have to look at the darkness, Julia Mitzrayim. You have to walk into the darkness, and you have to make a firm resolution with joy. I'm in a state of light, and then you'll see light all around you. Anyway, bottom 114 column 1, he says, in order to be joyous, it has to be real. So if you don't really mean it, you'll never be truly happy, right? It's like when you go on vacation or when you have an external anything that's going to make you joyous, it's not real joy. You're not joyous. You're just putting on joy. To be joyous means has to get real. And the only way to do that is Em Habanim Smecha. When you meditate on Em Habanim means Bina. When you Em Habanim, the mother of the children are the emotions. The mother of the children is a contemplation. And so what does that mean? It means it only comes about through hard work of meditating on Hashem, understanding who Hashem is, and then you go through a new perspective. Because what's the truth? This is not psychology. Not like it's a good idea to be happy. No. It really is joyous. Hashem is really good to you. Externally, it looks bad. And your goal is through meditation to arrive at seeing how awesome it is. So Yosef is a happy guy, and he goes into the 3 ministers of Egypt, and he encounters them, and they all tell him, "You're bad, you're evil," and they throw messages at him all the time. And what he does is he feels like Tzara Ibu. He feels like the in utero, right? I can't do it. What's the Chevlei Leda that he starts realizing? It's not true. What they say, what the world tells me is not true. I'm going to be happy. I don't have to succumb to whatever the world tells me about whether I'm happy or not. I can be joyous when everything else around me is messed up. And this is the avodah, to find the joy when everything else is messed up around you, to still be in a state of joy, and that's the Chevlei Leda.
Isn't the bigger avodah to find joy when everything's good? And it's not to attribute the joy to the external things, but if they're not real, but
I mean,
to find
that's true too.
that's
That's true too. I
that's
don't
a
know.
bigger avoida.
In Hanami, just I think that we're I don't know if that's where avoida begins. I think avoida begins when you're in Mitzrayim.
Yeah, but that's like the difference between like a tainaga elyon. The real joy, the real pleasure can't be just because you're not in Mitzrayim. That's an artificial joy.
You're right. And when that happens, you'll say when good things happen, you'll be like, okay, yeah, expected it.
Yeah. So again, it's not real joy. You're making a mistake. So the bigger challenge is when you have the fake joy to find the real joy.
Justin, I have my sandwich.
Yeah. So that's what he says. That's what he says that that the pasuk is reading. Al Teba reads the pasuk. You got to read the parsha this way. He says, right? Lachen emo livnei Yisrael ani Hashem. Go tell Bnei Yisrael. Go tell these Jews who are in the middle of all their stressful situations. I am Hashem. No one is stressing you out. It's all God. Then you're no longer going to be subjugated to the Sivlot of Mitzrayim. Why? Because you got it. So how do you do this? When you read the Torah, you bring out the Torah, you take the Torah. The Torah is like a book. This Maimer is great. It's just in a book. You know, sometimes we think the Chiddush of the Maimer is that we should be Machadish. We should learn the Maimer and find the Chiddush. You want to know the real Chiddush of the Maimer? If you activate it in your life. That's called Torah.
The real Chiddush.
If you learn the Maimer and activate it. Well, in case you worry that ChatGPT is going to take you over, he's going to be able to translate the whole Maimer for you, give you all the explanations, give you the whole thing right there as is, boom, 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 all done. There's only one thing he can't do. It's make you actually feel happy. I want to do it.
Right.
And that joy is how you get out of Mitzrayim. But the goal is not that. Goal is to arrive at Eretz Tova Urechava, not just to not be in Mitzrayim, but rather to be in an expansiveness of land, which means not just Tersha B'Chsav. Tersha B'Chsav, every detail of Tersha B'Chsav is critical, but Tersha B'Al Peh is where you expand things. So do we want to expand? So I'm picking it up over here.
Where?
On the bottom of page 114, column 2.
114.
So the line begins, Shekach Amar Hashem, about 10 lines on the bottom. Everything in the Torah, Shebirsav, in the written Torah is exact. It's not the goal. It's not the goal to know exactly what to do. If you look at the Torah Shebirsav, the written Torah, you'll never know how to put on tefillin. Shiur Dalet parashiyas. How do I know they're going to be 4 parashiyas? Dafka Shiur course of kach v'kach, and they're going to be written such and such. The Torah says, how do I know it's going to be parchment and ink? How do I know it's going to be which parashiyas? So all the details. All that. How do I know? I don't know that. I'm just learning Rambam this morning. The Rambam 3 Pratim today says that, by the way, recommend that everyone actually joins the Rambam and does daily Rambam. You do? No, we spoke about it. Next cycle start next week. Tu B'Shvat. So I'm saying that, so the Rambam says that Tersha B'Chsav, Tersha B'Al Peh says there's never, did you know this? Never was there an argument in Divrei Kabbalah. Nobody ever argued on the fact that a pre-8 Hadar means an esrog. Right? There's certain Kabbalists that were accepted and nobody ever disputed them. So Kabbalah, nobody argues on. What they argue on is that the Rabbanon know how to work things out. Nobody ever disputed that Tefillin is Arba Parashiyas, these 4 parashiyas, etc. Why? Because it's Halacha L'Moshe Misinai. In other words, it's Tersha B'Al Peh, but as they accept the Tersha B'Chsav.
That's whatever's not written down.
No, there's things that are written. There's things that are written down. Nobody argues on it. Tersha B'Chsav, and nobody argues on the Kabbalah of Tersha B'Chsav, which is Halacha L'Moshe Misinai. So
do you mean the Messiah or the Kabbalah?
Yeah,
the Messiah.
It's called Kabbalah. Rambam calls it Kabbalah.
Why is it called Kabbalah? If we refer to Kabbalah as something differently.
I know, but the Rambam calls it what you call Messiah. He calls Kabbalah. Just saying.
Oh yeah, okay.
Torah is godly. The Torah shebichsav hi bechinas chachma ilah. The written Torah is the chachma of Hashem. The Torah shebal peh hi chachma tato ulechakima biremizo. Torah shebichsav, what is it? The supernal wisdom of Hashem. Torah shebal peh is the lower wisdom of Hashem. Comes down to this world. Pirush eina rak kemashal harav meramez tamid be'ezraim es kol shebichas talmid ovid me'atzmoi dilboid aval lo zeu ikra limud atzmoi. The Rav is teaching the Talmud what to do, right? By telling him the idea of what to do. So Torah shebichsav, that's what it is. When you learn Torah shebichsav, the written Torah, it's just Hashem telling me what He's telling you without telling you why. So Tehillim is Torah shebichsav, right? You just say it. You don't need to understand. If you say the past, if you wake up in the morning and you want to say Vaydaber Hashem Moshe Lemor, you have to make a bracha. Otherwise, you can't make a bracha. Lama? Because it actually is divine. Whatever you see in the Torah shebichsav, that's exactly what Hashem wanted. Next page Nun Ches. Hashem said, you read, I don't know, it says apoilim, and you read it toirim, right? Yishkavena, yishgolena. Yishgolena is what it says, yishkavena is what you read all the time. Those things are exactly how Hashem wanted it. ולכן כל אותיותיה הספורים ומנויים בל ידוף בל יפסור. You can't argue about Torah shebichsav, except for the letter psuadaka. So nothing can be missing, nothing can be added. Every letter is going to be exactly what it is, because it is an allusion to the supernal wisdom of Hashem. When I'm learning Torah shebichsav, it is the wisdom of Hashem. Don't touch it. Write it exactly as is. The essence of the idea is not enclosed in Torah shebichsav. Right? Torah shebichsav tells you what Hashem wants without explaining why. What's the oral Torah? Line 4. It's the explanation. Right? Torah shebichsav, Gemara, is the explanation. This is why it doesn't make a difference, the letters. Kol kach. So in other words, in Gemara, the goal is to know what the Gemara says, not to know every word necessarily, even though it's pretty exact. Now, the further back you go in a Rishon, even in a Rishon, you can certainly be medactic in every little detail of what he says. If I have more to say, if I have more to think about, I'll have more ideas, I got to say more words. In Torah shebichsav, they'll take a whole masechta, right, of Perek HaShoel and put into one vov. V'chi yishal. The whole masechta, the whole Perek, is based on one vov, right? So they'll say in one word. Torah shebal peh, the more you have to say, the more askola, the more ideas you have, the more you say. Torah shebal bichsav lav davka. The more you understand, again, Pirush Rashi, the Tosfos Poskim, whatever you understand more. So you're learning Rishonim, you're learning Rashi and Tosfos and whatever else you're learning. Everything you're learning, what are you doing? The whole thing is adding more and more and more. The Rashi, the Tosfos, but the Rashi is all part of Torah shebal peh. Even kol masha talmid vosik osid lechadesh, even some yidale sitting in Tofshin Pei Vov, learning the Torah is also getting something. Velachem nikret eretz tova urechava. So getting out of Mitzrayim means that you learn Torah shebichtav. Getting into Eretz Yisrael means you learn Torah shebal peh. This is what it means. Matzvi, just like a deer. Ein oiroi machzik v'soroi. A deer, what happens is his hide is not able to hold his flesh. Yeah? Why? So a deer, if you skin the deer after you shacht it, you take off the hide, you'll discover you can't put it back on. Because of the meat, he grows more and more and more. That's the mashal of Eretz Torah. That's the mashal of the oral Torah. The more you understand, the more it grows. Why is there more Gemara? Because I have more ideas. שהאותיות משפשטים מצד עצם האסכולה, מה שאין כמתאר שבכתב, אין האויסס משפשט מצד האסכולה, כי מאור בעל מדרך רמז כנ"ל. Torah שבכתב does not expand. The oral Torah expands, the written Torah stays put. So the expansion, boom, 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 boom. Why is that? Because you're getting more and more and more and more and more as you're growing. Okay, we're going to see in a moment how this relates to whatever we've spoken about. But here's what we're talking about. We said there were two pieces to getting out of Mitzrayim. One is get out of Mitzrayim. The other one is get into the Eretz Tov Chava, the expansive and good land. So you have a problem, you have stress. Good. Step one is get out of the stress. Now I'm happy. That's get out of Mitzrayim. Now that you're happy, now what? Right? It's not, the goal is not to be happy. Happiness is the way you do things. Happiness is you no longer in Mitzrayim. So Torah Shebechsav is what you get to get out of Mitzrayim. Torah Shebapeh is now what you want to do. Let's see. Page Nun Ches, column 1. Now you understand.
Eli, is this what you were referring to yesterday, that we want to get to the cause? First thing is to get out of...
I'm sorry, I got to jump. I'm getting a call from the hospital. I'm sorry, I got to jump. I'm sorry.
Okay. Discuss afterwards. But now you understand. Masha Torah Shebechsav Nikra b'Shem Mikra b'Loshen HaGemara the Koyer b'Torah. Torah Shebechsav, what's it called? We call it Mikra. Mikra. מה זה מקרא? בכל המקרא כתוב. מקרא is written. Yeah? אבל מקרא is also to call out. שעל שהוא רק כמו שהוא קורא וממשיך ארנסה ברוך הוא על נפשו מההלם שלו מאכל גילי הלב כנ"ל. What you're doing when you're doing Torah Shebechsav is one simple thing. All you're doing is listening to what it says and drawing it out. So, when you ever wonder when you do Shnai Mikveh Targum, right? You're doing Shnai Mikveh Targum, what do? It's really like, I don't know, difficult. Because all you're doing is just reading what it says. So,
okay, I'm sorry.
You're just reading what it says. Boom, just a simple reading of the words. What am I doing by reading the words? What I'm doing by reading the words is I'm drawing them out. So it's up, it's removed, and I'm bringing it down. Yeah? That's what's Koyer b'Torah. The thing is, it's as if I'm calling someone else. So I'm here, and the Torah is here, and I'm calling out the Torah. There is nothing to do in Torah Shebechsav other than read what it says and bring it out. What does Torah Shebechsav mean? Masnisim Malkeso. The Mishnah is the queen. Kemelech shemetzaveh. Chabad bechabad chulu. Torah Sheba'al Peh is a whole different world, right? Torah Sheba'al Peh, you're sitting over there and you're literally bringing Hashem down. You're making an absolute oneness, a yichud gomer. So my brain and Hashem's brain are connecting. When I'm saying Torah Shebechsav, my brain is not connecting with Hashem's brain. I'm just saying what Hashem said to say. Like that, Hashem, but there's
also that's do no.
If I don't understand Torah Shebechsav, am I yotzei? No problem. Right? Torah Sheba'al Peh, if you didn't understand the Gemara, did you do anything? You learned Taf Yom, you understand what it says. You did nothing. Because you have to understand. It's Chabad, Chabad, my intellect, his intellect. So Torah Sheba'al Peh, I'm learning and I'm introducing Hashem into my life. My words, Hashem said, are literally in your mouth. Who's the Magid? Get the Magid. The Beis Yosef wrote a book called Shulchan Aruch, right? And Kesef Mishnah and Beis Yosef and all these farm that he wrote, they were all halachic works. But then he wrote the Kabbalistic work, which was the Magid Misharim, because he had a teacher who was an angel, and everything he learned from the angel, he wrote over there, and it's called Magid Misharim. Fascinating. And so the Magid told the Beis Yosef, he says, "Ani Mishnah amdaberet beficha." I am the learning that's speaking through your mouth. Mapshat? Hashem is talking through you. Which means it's not me speaking. When I'm learning Gemara, it's Hashem being revealed and manifest through me. She becomes one entity with Hashem. How awesome that is. I'm learning now. I'm learning right Torah. So what am I doing now? I'm learning the Torah, and the Alter Rebbe is speaking. And Hashem, he's bringing Hashem through his words, right? So when a person speaks, if he lets go of his own self, who's talking now? It's Hashem talking. It's not me. It's God expressing himself through here. And that's literally Dira B'Tachtonim. What does it mean, Dira B'Tachtonim? You want to see Hashem in this world? Take a Yid, open up a Gemara, open up a Torah. He's learning. And Hashem's words are being spoken right here on planet Earth. גם שמצד הספשטוס עצם גילי אסכולה להירשם יותר של הפעינים ליריד הגדיל הנחשבת את הספשטוס הסתאמת בעשייה גשמי סיידס רואים חולו. It is a tremendous descent. From Hashem's perspective, what is he doing? There's me, Hashem, and I come down all the way into Gashmis, into simple words. So for me, it's a tremendous Yerida, basically. It's a whole, like a lowering of Hashem's energy down to this world. So the pasuk says, "Asher nososius yodi." That's also in this parsha, right? I lifted my hand. What does that mean? Hashem says, right? So if something falls down, I take my hand, I go all the way down to the ground, I pick it up and I put it back on top of my head. What Hashem's doing is, the end of the ma'is of the deed is the beginning of the action. What does that mean? So the pshat is that Hashem says the end of the action is the beginning of me. You want to know where I am? Take a yid all the way at the rock bottom, at the end of everything. In this world, boom, boom, all the way down. That Idale, when he learns a Blat Gemara, is elevating Hashem all the way right to the top. We are the woman of valor is the crown of her husband. Hashem is the husband, and Hashem wants the wife over here, that's us. It's a vessel to hold the will of Hashem. Where is Hashem revealed? In the end of the action. So in other words, it's the end user. What does Hashem want? He wants the end user, right? He wants the Jew at the end who's doing it. So when a Yid sitting down in this world, what he's doing is just a little learning a Blat Gemara. Yeah, so what? No, this end user is touching the essence of God. So I think even in a Maimer, right, at the end of the day, what if you take the Maimer at the end and you learn what are the steps the Maimer told me to do? If you actually break it down into the steps, I think that what you've done is revealed the desire Ratzon of Hashem in the most incredible way. Like you actually know what Hashem wants you to do. When you touched in halacha, you literally know what Hashem wants you to do. So Torah Sheba'al Peh is the revelation of the Ratzon more than Torah Sheba'al Peh. There's no way to know what Hashem wants other than Torah Sheba'al Peh. Torah Sheba'al is much loftier, it's much holier, but you won't know what to do. Torah Sheba'al Peh, because it lowers itself even lower into this world, you actually get to know what is Ratzon Hashem. This is what Hashem says. Venosati tzvi be'eretz achayim. Trying to see where this pasuk is. So tzvi is he says is going to be tzivyoni. Nun ches amud aleph Yechezkel chavot. My image. What does that mean? You want to know where you see Hashem? Hashem's etzim in the land of the living. That's Torah Sheba'al Peh. More than Mibchenet Torah Sheba'al. Torah Sheba'al therefore is more godly. It's holier. It's.
Is it dependent? Is that dependent on
doing it right, meaning you've Torah Shabbat Peh, so you're learning a Blat Gemara, but you're not really you're off track. You're not understanding it right. You're not understanding the way you should. So is that still considered Torah Shabbat Peh, or is that...
If you didn't understand it correct, if you got it wrong, right, then you didn't learn. If you just made up
Torah Shabbat Peh, it's based on getting it correct, I would think, because otherwise, Torah Shabbat, you just read it, it's not a problem. Shabbat Peh is based on...
People sit down and they say, like he read some book or whatever, and then he discovers and then he learns the Gemara, and he has his own pshat in the parsha or whatever. His own pshat. It's not his own pshat, it's the pshat of Dale Carnegie or whatever. You know what I mean? Like
right.
Very nice. In Torah it doesn't need. In order to have it to be Torah, it's got to be studied with the principles of Torah, and then whatever Talmud Vasik Osid Lechadish is part of Torah. But I thought you meant something else. He's going to say in the next paragraph of how you learn the Torah. We'll see that yes. So he says, "V'zeu asher nososius yodi, noseisis al Avram Yitzchak and Yaakov. I lifted up my hands to give it to Avram Yitzchak and Yaakov. Shehema midois chesed gvura tiferes. Hashem said, I want to give you. I want to give. Every time you see it says Avraham Yitzchak Yaakov, it's not history. It's your emotions being awakened. Your Avraham is love of Hashem. Yitzchak is awe. Yaakov is
harmony.
Yaakov is compassion. Ki eishes chayal teres ba'el kanal. V'natati ota lachem b'rasha ani Hashem li'otfchenes v'asim ro'eh b'fich kanal. Hashem says, okay, listen here. So now there's two parts to this, right? That's what he said so far.
You said it's compassion?
Yeah.
It was a mixture.
It's a mixture, yeah. Hamim is a blend of chesed and gvura. The point is like this. The first part of the Maimer is essentially psychological. Even though it's not, it's godly, but still. Your goal is to be happy, be positive. You're stuck in Mitzrayim, get out of Mitzrayim and be a positive person. Right? Very nice. Second part of the Maimer is to tell you there's no virtue to being a joyous, positive person. The virtue lies in something much deeper. What is that? Being a Jew who can paskin a halacha and do a mitzvah in this world. That's the goal. So to say, if you're a happy person and you don't do Torah mitzvahs, you got out of Mitzrayim, that's true. You're no longer in that sadness. That's awesome. But the goal is to fill that void up with Torah and mitzvahs, because that's Eretz Tovah U'Echava. So just like you have Torah Shebitstav is getting, when you have Torah Shebitstav, you're attached to Hashem. That's like the joy. Simcha, you see Hashem in everything. That's beautiful. But now you want to expand. What are you doing with it? So you're going to build on it. That's Eretz Tovah U'Echava. Kol Gilui Oir Hashem Mibchinas Hamshochos Elu. Hakol Talui Belibo Shel Adam. And Alchon is what I told you were saying. Everything's dependent on your heart. Whatever the heart wants, you turn to that. So, what does your heart want? In order for Hashem to be expressed through you, right? Why is it that a Tanan and a Meira was able to express himself? Today I saw the Rambam says that later Tanoim are actually able to argue with earlier Tanoim, and their opinion is more valuable, not less. Whose opinion trumps? The later Amoira or the earlier Amoira? The answer is the later Amoira. Why? Because he has more information. He has an accumulation. So if that's the case, how come an Amoira doesn't argue with the Tanoim?
Right.
In other words, a later Amoira is better than an early Amoira. A later Tana is better than an early Tana. But an Amoira doesn't argue with the Tana, Lama. So in the Rambam, I'm explaining basically the Mefarshim, the Neisi Kalim explained, the reason is simple. Once they made the Gemara was sealed, you can't argue the Gemara. Once the Mishnah was sealed, you can't argue with the Mishnah. Up until the Mishnah is sealed, the more you have information, the more you argue. So you're better. So there's an error, Gemara. Right, Mishnah, Gemara, Tanaim Amiroim. Then there's Geoinim, Rishonim, and you don't argue with the previous level. The reason is, I think this idea is explaining that, because To be a Tana is a level, a degree of connection to the divine. To be an Amoira is a degree also, but a lower one. So Amoraim, in that era, those few hundred years, they were arguing with each other, but the Tanaim also arguing with each other. But as soon as that era is over, they don't argue anymore, right? So, because what he's saying over here is, in order for the light of Hashem to be revealed and to be able to say, Ani HaMishnah Medaberet B'Fita, that Hashem speaking through my mouth, I have to be a person who's in a state of joy. So I have to get out of my Mitzrayim, then I can talk to Hashem, which means, look at yourself. Are you godly? Are you? I mean, like, if I'm stressed out, am I godly? When I'm talking to you, right? This is where abuse happens, right? Because the kid walks in, the mother screams at him. Why'd you scream at him? Because you are upset about something else that happened. Not him, it's you, right? So, the Zabayach. And that's when you get rid of your own self, the ego, then you're paskening the halacha. Otherwise, you're not paskening the halacha. ולכן אמרו, and this is why we say, מזכירים יציאת מצרים בבוקר ובערב. You have to mention and meditate on getting out of Mitzrayim both morning and evening. למה? היינו פרשת ציציס, שכתוב שם להיות לכם לאלוקים, אני השם אלוקיכם. When do we meditate on Mitzrayim every day? So the Shema is the beginning of the meditation. But what is the time you actually say it's yes Mitzrayim? The answer is Parshas Tzitzis. Because in Parshas Tzitzis it says, Ani Hashem Elokeichem, Liyot Lachem Elokim, and Ani Hashem Elokeichem, sorry. So explain this, Va'inyan, Ki lo yidai b'serus halev b'tfilat hashachar levad, ela leyoimoi. If you arouse your sense of binding yourself to Hashem, and you daven shachris. What does it mean to daven shachris? It means to recognize Hashem in my life now. That's good only for the day. Lama mikivan she'achar kach poneh le'asakav, because then you turn to your business dealings. So business drowns you. Doing business is an immersion in anti-godly destruction. Even if someone is not a businessman, he's learning Torah. What do you want? He's learning Torah. So you want? I don't need to say Shema every day. Why? I'm doing Hashem's will every single day. No, but Gemara is a very lowly thing, right? Gemara deals with very many menial things. When you learn Zorim, what are you doing? You're learning about seeds in the ground. It's too easy to forget about the godliness and to be thinking about the gashmius. Right? So what are you thinking about? Whatever, you're learning about, I don't know, an ox and a cow. So the ox and the cow, that's what you're thinking about. Are you thinking about God? No. You forgot about Hashem. So you walked into a space of Elikim. Still God, but God as he humbles himself and as he is in the natural space. So it's Elikim. So what do I have to do? Every morning I need to arouse myself and awaken this power of Hashem. So I need to meditate. Okay, there's God in my life. What does that mean? I'm not in Mitzrayim. Everything else is in Mitzrayim. You look at your stresses. It's you have to do this, right? So, I mean, Eli was saying before that you could do it also when times are good. I agree, but it's much easier when times are problematic. Literally every morning you got to sit down and you got to do what's my Mitzrayim today. You scan your body and look at your body and find in it what stresses are there in my body, what's my brain, right? Feeling boom, and what thoughts are there, and meditate on them. And you say, yep, okay, these are my stresses, these are my issues, that's my Mitzrayim. And then you tell your Mitzrayim, you say, keep your mind. Let me just daven today. I'm not answering you. It's good. Ani Hashem Elikeichem. Hashem, I believe Hashem is taking care of me. Right? So I'm not telling you there's no stress. There is stress. It's very hard. And can you just let me daven anyway? Would you mind? Right? And then when you talk to them, they become Mitzrayim, that's Paroi. You go over to Moshe by separating from them, and then you discover that Hashem is above it. And when you do it, Hashem solves problems for you. If you don't do this work every morning, so far, and every evening, I'm going to say in a moment, you're going to be to be what's it called? Overwhelmed by the world. Why? Because if you do business, essentially you're overwhelmed. What do you think mortgages are? Overwhelming. I'm sorry, cash advance is overwhelming, right? But if you do what's it called? You get overwhelmed by the world. If you learn Gemara, you're also overwhelmed by the world, by a different world, but still. So you're going to go back into the space. וצריך לעורר עוד את האהבה ושמחה מנקודת הלב ויסגיר לבחינת הוויה כנ"ל, because it's not about Elokim. Elokim יענה את שלום פרעה. Pari also believed in Elokim. Of course I believe in Hashem. You think I'm a kofer? I believe in Hashem, but that's Elokim. I want to talk about Ani Havaya. Shivisi Havaya lenegdi sami, not Shivisi Elokim. So you're going to awaken it again? Good. I did it in the morning. אך לא די. בסגל הזהב אבל זה לבד, כי מלכתר שבכסב, הכל כל יעקב כנ"ל יזכר, ממשיך בתר גילה שממש. Not sufficient, not just תר שבכסב. Got to go further. You got to actually put the word of Hashem into your mouth. What is that? So you're going to put a dira betachtoinim literally. That's quite stunning. He doesn't say why the evening, right? But you understand the evening is, and then you got to sandwich it with your day. So he says, and I think with that, possibly that's what he means over here, because the pasuk says, Ani Hashem Elokeichem. Asher etzeis yeschem mieretz Mitzrayim, liyos lochem le'elekim, ani Hashem Elokeichem. Why are you saying it twice? Because it's in the morning and in the evening, the sandwich. So you're in Mitzrayim. What does it mean? The day is a stressful experience. That's what days are. Days are stressful. What you want to do is sandwich the day with a recognition that there's Havaya. How do I do that? So let's summarize what the Maimon is telling us to do. What are the steps of the Maimon?
Mitzrayim is the middle of the day.
Yeah. Well, Mitzrayim is the middle of the day. So safety is the excitement. Yes. By the way, you know the you have to understand the tzitzis over here. What's tzitzis? I'm putting on my tzitzis. What's it got to do with this? In the Koyach I'll tell you, explains it, where he says that latzitz means to gaze, right? Make a gazing at Hashem, and make it in a female sense, not tzitz, but rather tzitzit. So you should see Hashem everywhere. Yeah. On the bgadim, on the things in the world, you'll make a tzitzis. And then, so don't be promiscuous. What does that mean? Promiscuous means getting heated up by anything out there. So you start looking at who's making me hot, who's making me angry, who's making me upset, who's making me excited, all the outside things. And I stop being promiscuous that I get to them, but rather, leman tizkiru, you become a male, right? Male means zacham. So you become a male and you're able to see Hashem in everything. You get strong. That's Yosef HaTzadik. He doesn't care what everyone else on the outside. That's tikvatzuli. I have Hashem in my life, right? Now it ends off and says, Ani Havaya Elokeich. If you see Havaya as your God, then Hashem says, yes, what did Hashem want? What did Hashem make you for? He made you for these moments. Take a look at that letter. I hope everyone reads that letter inside that I sent over there today. It's such a ridiculous letter. You know that letter? Unbelievable. It's a famous one, but it's an unbelievable letter. So again, in the letter, what he says is the world is Mitzrayim. When you introduce the world's choshech, toyu baboyu. Everything's messed up. And your mission is to walk into there and to say, Vayomer Elokim yehi or. So the Rebbe said there, every one of us walks into the darkness and you say, let there be light. And the definition of let there be light is, I choose to be in a happy state. I'm tracht gut wird sein gut. I know it's good, all soul, all done. And if you walk there, what happens is, if you into that space, the whole world comes out of it, everything gets rebuilt. Right? Summarize what the Maimon told us. He told us like this: that he's translating the pasuk. Is going to mean, go tell Bnei Yisrael that when a Jew gets it, I am a vaya, you're no longer stuck in your problems. So what does that mean? Look at all your problems in life. Step one, Mitzrayim. What's my stresses? What's my issues? What's blocking me from Hashem? Recognition that if I can serve Hashem, besimcha, in other words, I can be in a state of joy in the middle of all this, I can reveal Hashem down here in this world. And that how do I get the joy? By meditation on I'm stressed out. Yes, that's external. Separate from Him. Identify that's a stress. Yes, and Hashem is in every experience. It's divine. Every experience is godly. So Hashem's creating the world every single second. I start seeing Hashem's creation in it, and Hashem is always good. And then I start realizing that what Hashem wants is me to do Torah mitzvahs, and how many opportunities do I have in the stress right now to do the Torah mitzvahs? And I make a bracha, share kichanu mitzvahs, that increases my joy. Okay, so that joy, he said in paragraph 2, cannot be abstract. It has to be introduced into your life, which means that you're going to encounter the 3 sarim of Mitzrayim, and you want to go right into them, and you want to recognize that the koiches of simcha, of joy and connection to Hashem, are impregnated in you. They're in utero, and you have to express them and reveal them, right? And Golus is not that a Jew doesn't believe in Hashem. Hey, you believe in Hashem. You just don't introduce that emunah into a real way. So you're sad and stressed and upset and angry. It was a guy told me the other day, he's a guy in Lakewood, whatever, but he's traumatized by something that happened to him. Totally traumatized. So he told me, I know there's Hashem, but I can't believe in him because he can't be that he's good. So now what? So now we have a whole conversation. He doesn't believe in Hashem, right? So this is where it is, to take what you have as emunah and bring it down into your life, into a real space. But the goal is not to get out of Mitzrayim and to be in a state of joy. The goal is that a Yid should be walking around looking for opportunities to reveal Hashem in this world. Just like Torah B'chsav and Torah B'al Peh. Torah B'chsav is what Hashem said. Torah B'al Peh is to expand that into the world, into everything beautiful out there. So you're actually calling Hashem into this world. So the steps are Mitzrayim, feel your Mitzrayim, and how stressful it is. Tell Mitzrayim, but I am Hashem your God. And as he says at the end of the night, you're going to say morning and evening, right? Tell them how great God is. And then talk to your Mitzrayim and say, right, and Hashem is in the space. And what I get to do is not just get out of Mitzrayim, but rather I get excited because I get to do Torah mitzvahs. And I start learning Torah and I realize, when I'm learning Torah, Hashem is fusing himself. This is godly. When I do a mitzvah, by the way, the same thing. I didn't talk about that, but the same idea. I'm expressing Hashem. Mimele, I become a walking divine revealer of godliness in the world. So instead of the world attacking me, this is Yosef, right? I'm Hashem's messenger to reveal Hashem in the world. This is Yosef's internal mechanism of operation. What a powerful name. Elchanan, what's your takeaway? Mordechai, takeaway?
I'm looking forward to doing some more mitzvahs. That's it. What can I tell you? No, it's powerful stuff. What can I say? It's my challenge is to be able to take this, like what he's saying, and not to, and take this that I'm learning in the morning and bring it and keep it with me throughout the day, and then get it again by evening. But in others, because the what happens is that I learn it, I feel it, and then the stresses come, and it's hard to get back into this place, and that's. I think
that my solution to that is when I actually when I write it down, like the meditation, I write down step 1, 2, 3 of what I learned from the Maimer. I put it down and I jot it, and I'm able to remember what it said to do. I think it's just a practical way to get out of it.
Yeah,
but that's what he said. That's why you got to dive in again and learn again. Exactly.
Right. That's why I said it again. Right. But it's in that stress during the day that it's like I try to get back into this, and it's not a simple task. But yeah, that's a good idea. Good.
Sure. Shabbos.
Okay. A guten Shabbos.